Hello? Is this thing on? Good. No, don't fiddle with it. It's a cashmere sweater. It's cashmere. I don't want you to ruin it. No, if we're going to do this shoot properly, you're going to refer to me by my real name. My name's Brian. So I don't want to hear any of this Svennyish nonsense, okay? That's for out there. That's for them. That's for the fans. That's for the marks. Not for you guys. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You want to hear exactly what I have to say. How did I get started? Well, Evan, that's Aki. Evan had started just horsing around after he got a capture card playing some of the old WWE games. You know, stuff like No Mercy, stuff like Here Comes the Pain, stuff like the earlier SVR games. You know, and we all just kind of huddled around and chat. There were about 20 so of us every night from about midnight till about 4 that would huddle around and chat and just kind of, you know, mark out about different sorts of things. You know, Scotty Too Hottie, Scott Steiner, Test, you know, and we were just chilling out, and all of a sudden somebody just started to dominate chat. You know, he would be like, oh, we'll do this, and he'd just spam and away and away and away, and, you know, he had one of those stupid fucking names, like, you know, Loop 12345, are you serious? I mean, only unoriginal people think up a name, and then you have to put numbers behind it because everybody else has already used that name. You know, think useful, think of something awesome, you know, he could have used Weep Loop, or Loop-de-Whoop, or, you know, fucking anything. Except Loop 12345. It's just a bunch of bullshit, and he kept, you know, just spamming away in chat, and oh my god, Aki, do this, and do this, and do this, and do this, and he was just talking and talking about stupid shit. Couldn't abide by it. I just got tired of it, and so I challenged him to a match, saying, you know, if I win, you gotta fucking shut up, because this is just, I can't stand it. It's just awful. I don't want to. I enjoy being here, and I can't stand being here if you are still here. Just talking away, and awful. So Evan did it. He set up a match between us for the Prince of Wu, and it ended up being a 3 Stages of Hell match. And I think the first one was a hardcore match. The second one was a ladder match, and the third one was a Hell in a Cell. And no, it wasn't hardcore. What was it? Was it a submission? Or was it a false? It was a false count anywhere. So Loop won the first one because I tapped to the Loop-de-Puss, which is an overpowered move. In that game in general. And I was pretty disappointed, and he was all, you know, strutting around in chat and stuff, but, you know, the smarks loved me. All the people that were in chat, they loved me. They didn't like Loop, because they knew about it, you know? They knew that Loop was being a jackass, and so they sided with me, even though I was technically the one being the heel, even though I viewed myself as the face. And so, you know, I lost my first match, or the first part of the match, and then so we moved on to the ladder match, where Loop totally glitched out and just disappeared. He pulled the Vanishing Loop act because he didn't want to be in the ring with me anymore. He knew that I was going to kick his ass, so I climbed the ladder, made myself famous, and grabbed the briefcase to win match number 2. And then the third match was the Hell in a Cell, where I was actually doing really well. It was a Hell in a Cell Iron Man match, and I was actually doing really well. I was up in pinfall counts. I was up 2-1, and then the game glitched 5 minutes in, and I couldn't get around a set of steel steps. And Loop Loop was standing on the apron, and I could not get around the steel steps, and so Evan had to reset it. You know, dispatch Loop. We're not even going to call him Loop anymore. That name just pisses me off too much. We're going to call his name's Mike, so we're going to call him Mike. So Mike's up on the apron, and yeah, I couldn't get around it. So Evan had to reset the whole thing, and you know, Mike got a really big lead early. He was up like 12 to 4 or 5 or something like that, and then I started to make a comeback. And I made a pretty decent comeback, and everyone was believing in me, and you know, and then I just fell short. I fell short, and so I disappeared from chat for a while, and I came back to find out that apparently it had just taken off. That everyone had really, really enjoyed what had went on, and that you know, that there was plans for there to be more of it. There were plans for a whole entire wrestling federation. You know, Evan called it Ampro for akimanpro wrestling. You know, and he calls us the founders of it, and I just wanted to get Loop out of chat. You know, he gives me way too much credit. I just didn't want to listen to Loop anymore, so I challenged him to something that was agreeable to all of us, and I failed at it. But, you know, it spawned into something that was bigger than all of us, and, you know, a really good time for all of us, because, you know, being marks growing up ourselves, and smarks, I guess, in the later periods, you know, this business is something that we wanted to be a part of, you know, even on some sort of scale. We wanted to act, we wanted to entertain, we wanted to, you know, make the people cheer, make the people boo, make the people feel awesome, you know. We wanted them to come out and enjoy what we were enjoying doing. You know, it became a really big thing. Became a really big thing for us. So me and Mike put our differences aside and decided to put on a really good product for everybody. So, you know, we continued to war and feud until we managed to recruit a lot more people, and we decided that both of us were better off helping build new stars, because there was no way that either one of us could ever be hurt popularity-wise by losing to anybody else. We knew that by giving everybody else the rub, we would just make them bigger. We would make them bigger. Not necessarily as big as us, but we would help them get over. And by showing that we weren't afraid to job, I think it really helped pull a lot of people in, which was awesome. So, I mean, but during this feuding period that we had, trying to draw people in, you know, he kept beating me, and I'm sure you'll see on this DVD that the whole thing is just Loop beating me and Loop beating me. I think I only beat him like twice, and they were both in tag matches. I pinned him once with a roll-up in a match for the tag belts with Mo, and then there was an elimination tag match that had like 12 people in it, and it ended up being me and him, and he had taken such a beating, and I had just been a coward the whole match, and I managed to put him through a table with a powerbomb, I think it was. So yeah, it was the fact that I was only ever able to beat him in tag settings when I had help really drove me nuts, and I can't wait to get another crack at him eventually, now that I'm back. You know, and talking about the tag matches, I guess that kind of brings us to where we were at as far as the movement goes, which we originally thought we had called Mo Money, which I was actually okay with. I liked Mo Money a little bit more than the movement, but they changed the name. I thought it was Mo Money, and then I had to deal with some stuff in my life, which I'll touch upon in a bit. You know, and all of a sudden I come back and it's movement, and Mo is taken over, and you know, I'm kind of just an afterthought, kind of one of his sidekicks, but he managed to beat Loop. You know, I was grateful for that. He managed to beat Loop, and he managed to make me look good while beating Loop, which was awesome. You know, he won the belt before me, but I don't really care, because he has, you know, he helped me out. He helped me out, and he got the title, and then I ended up winning my own title, beating Gotham for it, which ended up being Loop's sidekick. Speaking of which, let's talk about that for a second. Working with Mo is a very difficult thing to do. He kind of like I started out this stable. I started putting together this stable of people that I thought were going to be really good, and it included Evan Slambros, and it included Mo, and it included. I thought I had Cole in there for a little bit, despite the fact that Cole never debuted. I recruited him, and then it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. And so I recruited Mo, and then Gotham came along. And I really liked Gotham. I thought he was a good guy. I thought he was a pretty decent wrestler. I thought he was a pretty solid wrestler and someone I could count on to have my back. And so I recruited Gotham, and he was in the movement, and Mo didn't like him for some reason. He didn't even give me a reason for it. He's like, oh, well, this is now exclusive, and it's only me and you. And so... Mo pushed Gotham out, and then so Gotham went over to Loop, and, while he hasn't exactly had a great streak lately, at the beginning he was really good. And think about it, if it was me, Mo, and Gotham, Loop wouldn't have stood a chance, and Mask would have never existed. It would have just been three guys kicking the crap out of Loop on a constant basis, and maybe then Mike would have shut up. It would have been awesome for Mike to just, whatever. But... hindsight's always 20/20, and I'm still working with Mo, and we're still trying to kill Mike on a daily basis, and that's good. It's good for the fans, and it's good for us. And next question. If I could have a match against anybody, who would it be? I think that if I were to have a choice, I would want to face Violator just because I had to leave. He won the #1 title slot right before I had to leave, and then I had to go away for a while. I had to take care of some business in my life, and I had to leave, so instead of me getting to face Violator for my Silver Class Championship, Violator faced Slambros, who he had beaten before, and won. I don't necessarily think I would have beaten Violator, but I would have liked to have gotten the chance to prove that I could at least take him the distance, that I could make him... I could test his limits, because he hasn't exactly had problem with that yet, and I don't like Violator to begin with anyways, just because... when you come into one of these things, the whole point is to create a new character, is to become somebody new, is to essentially take your own personality and amp it up to 11. And to create a new character that the fans have never seen before, to do something awesome. And he is Brock Lesnar in a pair of striped trunks with a little bit more hair on his head. And I think that's stupid. Why would you want to be something that somebody has already been? So I wanted to teach him a lesson. I wanted to show him what's what. I wanted to kick his ass, and then I wanted to stand over him and say, go back to the MMA you Brock Lesnar wannabe. I wanted to get rid of him, or at least make him change his gimmick. Because, come on, man, Brock Lesnar's already been done. Nobody cares. Nobody wanted to see him the first... Well, I guess a lot of people wanted to see him the first time, but let's be honest. He's not exactly been great his second time back. He's got no heat at all. He's not doing anything. He's never around. And he's fat, and I never liked his character, which, I guess meant he was doing his job as a heel. But, I don't know. People like Violator that recreate somebody else's gimmick to get themselves over are lazy. Almost as lazy as Mike with his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullshit at the end of his name. I hate lazy people. I hate it. It drives me up a wall. Being a prince, you think that you don't ever have to do a damn thing, but it's not the case. You gotta work hard. You gotta work hard all the time. You have to please people. You have to make sure that everyone's doing okay. You have to check on your population all the time. you know, and I hate laziness. Will I ever be the Ampro champion? Yes. Yes, I will. Just for the simple reason I'm the best, you know? Sound like Vince Russo, you know? But I'm the best. I'm the best heel that this company has. I'm the best heel that the world has ever seen. I'm better than Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I'm better than CM Punk. I draw so much heat that I could melt the polar ice caps, and that's just because I know how to push people's buttons. You know. So they're gonna need me to have a reign eventually, so that way they could put over some new star, or hopefully not Lube, but. They're going to need me to put over some super new face, and so they're going to give me the belt, put a whole bunch of heat on me, which, you know, isn't very difficult for me to do anyways. And then they're going to put the title on this new young kid, and it's going to be great. It's going to boost his popularity tenfold. So, I mean, that's the reason why I'm glad I came back, because it's going to help. I'm going to put some kid over, and it's going to create a brand new star. And I love doing this. I love doing this. I love being there. I love watching chat when it happens. I love seeing the reactions of the fans and the audience, and I love it. It's great. Why I left? Yeah, I did say I was gonna talk about that. I don't know how many of you guys know, but I'm engaged. I am engaged. There is a future Mrs. Svenny that is going to happen. There are going to be little Svennys running around eventually. I'm engaged. I love her very much. She is everything to me. Everything I do to make her happy in some way, shape, or form. To make sure that, you know, to make her life awesome, because she deserves it. She's amazing. She's incredible. She deserves every single minute of it. So yeah, I things were going really rocky between me and her at a certain point in time, and yeah, so I needed to leave to straighten things out with her. You know, she was. I don't want to go into too much detail, but there were things going on that were shady on her part, or at least I thought they were shady. They looked shady, and so it didn't make me very happy. And so, you know, I called her out on it, and we ended up getting into a fight about it, and things became very strained and strenuous between us for a period of time, and it almost ended. The girl that I'm going to marry, I was almost it, and so I really needed time away from everything, because I was not in a good place. I was in a very dark place, and I was spending just about every single one of my nights talking with her, trying to fix things, and we ended up fixing things, so that's good. Things are better than they were before, because we kept talking, and we figured out what was wrong and what was happening, and something happened, something personal happened on her end that really kind of opened her eyes to what I was talking about, and it changed things. So that is now that is sorted out, or when I did sort that out, I said it wasn't fair to the fans to have me be away for when I was, you know, I figured I wasn't going to come back. I figured that things were going to go poorly, and that I was going to be in a permanently dark place, and that I wouldn't be able to get myself up for the fans like I used to be able to. So that's why I called it a retirement. But when I fixed things and sorted things out with her, and was able to put myself in a better place, I found that it was not fair to everybody, especially the fans, if I could come back and put on that same character, that same show, and not do it. So I decided to do it. I decided to come back, and so I let Evan know that I was coming back, and he said, well, we got to make this big. We have to make this huge because this is important. You know, you are the biggest heel that we've got, and we need to do something with it. We need to make this huge. So he suggested that there was the Hall-o-ween Havoc pay-per-view was coming up, and so he said, I'll tell you what, we're not even going to have you in the match. There's going to be a part where Loop's coming out, and you're going to come out, and you're just going to destroy him. And you're going to destroy him, and, you know, Gotham's going to get taken out off stage, and that's it. You guys are going to destroy Mask. Straight up and down. You're going to destroy Mask, and that's going to be it. And you know, you're going to make this glorious comeback, and everyone's going to love it, and it's going to be just shock everywhere. And I said, let's do it. Let's do it. And so I did. I came back, and I started. Me and Loop started, you know, punching each other or whatever. We were throwing shots, and we got up on the ramp, and he kind of just looked at me, and, you know, neither one of us were mic'd up. So Mike looks me in the eye, and he says, so what's the plan? You know, as I'm feeding him one of these shots. And I hadn't really thought of it. I thought I was going to give him the skull-crushing finale on the stage. And he looked at me, Mike looked at me and said, no, we're going with a big bump. You're back, you're going to make this huge. Like, nobody even knew. Mike didn't know, Mo didn't know, Clark didn't know. Only me and Evan knew that I was going to be under the stage that night. It was really hard to pull off, but we did it. And so he's shocked, but at the same time, he knows this is important, which I got to give him credit for. And so we got to go with a really big bump. And so we're feeding each other shots all the way up the ramp, and we're talking while we're doing it. And so we get to the top, and I feed him a shot, and he says, you're powerbombing me off of the stage. And I didn't even question it. So I gave him one more shot, and I kicked him in the gut, and I did it. I powerbombed him right off the stage. And then, I guess, this new character, Hal didn't do it, decided that he was going to make a name for himself, and so he came and speared me off the stage. We all kind of just landed on the ground, and everyone was kind of paying attention, and then the match started in the ring, so then nobody was paying attention. And Mike just broke out in laughter. We were laying there on the ground, and Mike just broke out in laughter, and I said, shut up. You know, I'm just kind of chuckling away. I said, shut the fuck up. You know, people can hear you. And it turned out that he did actually take an injury from that, which is, you know, kind of unfortunate. But he asked me to make that, for him to take that bump, and so he took that bump, and not really much he can do about it. Last question, I guess. I got time for one more here. What's in store for me next? I don't want to be with Mo anymore. I'm tired of him taking over a group that was mine. When I went away, I kind of righted myself personally and found that while you can and want to count on other people, it's better to be in control of your own destiny. So I'm starting something new without him. I'm going a different direction, and I am going to win the world title. I'm going to beat Loop. I'm going to win the world title. And I'm going to shut out all comers. That is the end of it. That is the end of it. We out of time? Alright. Thank you.